I gained 40 pounds in the 3 years that I've been lifting. I wanna come on here today to show you guys exactly what I did, as well as talk about some of the mistakes that I made and give you guys a complete guide to bulking. This is especially for skinny guys. If you just wanna fill out a shirt for once, or you wanna put some mass on your frame, this video is for you. Pretty much we can start with, so why should I bulk? Well, let me ask you this. Are you satisfied with how much muscle you have? Obviously no. Are you under 15% body fat? I included this little chart kind of just showing different levels of body fat, but pretty much if you have abs, then you're probably 15% or below. So yes, you're under 50% body fat, you should bulk. If you're not under 50% body fat, I recommend cutting until you are and then starting a bulk. We have to ask ourselves, what even is bulking? How do we define bulking? And pretty much bulking is just adding body weight in order to gain muscle mass, right? I put this shitty little chart, but pretty much as time goes on, right, we want our body weight to be increasing, okay? But I don't wanna gain weight. This is something you might hear from like beginners or skinny guys. They think they could just gain their way to their goal physique, and that's just not gonna work. I included this little example. So this 140-pound guy is not gonna become this 180-pound guy by not gaining weight, right? If your goal is to be bigger than you are, you obviously have to gain weight. I shouldn't even have to preface this, but for some reason, I don't know, people still think that they can just avoid bulking and just gaining their way. No, you have to gain weight if you want to get bigger, right? It's just a math equation, okay? Bulking is literally just math. Calories in minus calories out. It is as simple as that, guys. So all you need to bulk, you need a calorie surplus at the root of it. You need adequate protein intake, okay? Because we wanna be gaining muscle. We don't wanna be just adding fat. Adequate protein intake is going to be about 1 gram per pound of body weight. So a 160-pound person would be having around 160 grams of protein. You can get away with less, but I think this is kind of just the safety net, right? Like if you hit this 1 gram per pound, you're going to be maximizing muscle growth. I think anything less than like 0.8 grams per pound of body weight, you might be sacrificing muscle gain. Muscle stimulus, this is a big one, right? Because we want to be stimulating the muscles through resistance training, through weightlifting. The protein intake is going to fuel that, and the calorie surplus is pretty much going to allow that weight gain to happen, okay? Which leads to sick ass gains. So we need to be in a calorie surplus, right? But how many calories is a calorie surplus? Well, that's where TDEE comes into play. Total daily energy expenditure, right? The total amount of calories that you're burning in a day. So to find this out, we're pretty much, all you need to do is just Google TDEE calculator and you're gonna find one of these websites. So pretty much you just put in your age, you put in your weight and your height. Now for me, I lift like 3 to 4 days a week. So I'm gonna put moderate exercise 3 to 5 days a week, and you put your body fat percentage. So I am around 11% body fat. And that's pretty dang accurate. So 2,800 calories. I think my actual maintenance calories, just from experience, is closer to 3,000. But once you have your TDEE, you're gonna wanna add your calorie surplus to that, right? Because the TDEE is your maintenance, but then we gotta add the surplus on top of it because we wanna be gaining weight. So a good surplus is going to be about 200 to 500 calories over your maintenance. 500 is kind of the high end. That's gonna be about a pound a week. 200 is closer to like half a pound a week. You really don't wanna go higher than 500 because at that point, you're just gonna be adding a lot of excess body fat. And then anything below 200, it just gets hard to track. It's kind of hard to tell if you're actually in a surplus or not. So with tracking, right, I recommend apps like MyFitnessPal. I've heard CalAI is really good, but I use MyFitnessPal. And so what these apps do, right, is you can pretty much put in what you're eating in the day and it'll tell you how many calories, how much protein, carbs, fats, everything in your meals. And so these are really good for figuring out if you're actually hitting that calorie surplus. And a huge thing with this is tracking consistently, guys. We have to be consistent with this. You could find out your surplus calories, and if you're not tracking, you could easily be in a calorie deficit for the day and just have no idea because you're not tracking, okay? So tracking consistently is very, very important, right? There was this time where literally for like probably an entire year, I wasn't tracking my calories. And I just like was not making progress. Like it was crazy, guys. I was in the gym and everything, but I wasn't really keeping track of my strength in the gym and I wasn't keeping track of my calories. I literally like gained 2 pounds in like a year, and all pretty much because I wasn't tracking. So, dirty bulk. You guys may have heard of the dirty bulk. I say no, I say don't do the dirty bulk, right? A dirty bulk is pretty much when you're trying to eat as much food as you can, a lot of junk food, a lot of unhealthy food. And I've done the dirty bulk, guys, and I say don't do it, okay? So I put these little charts, right? So this is a clean bulk, and this is a dirty bulk, okay? And the thing with the dirty bulk is you do gain muscle, right? Like you're gaining muscle at a slightly faster, like accelerated rate than you are in a clean bulk, okay? But it's not much. It's maybe like 20% more muscle, right? Like it's not much, but the amount of fat that you can gain on a dirty bulk, if you're not tracking your calories and you're just eating as much as you can like, look at, you're gaining so much more body fat on a dirty bulk that you're gonna end up having to spend way more time cutting later on to get that fat off. So I recommend not dirty bulking. The other problem with the dirty bulk too is if you're not tracking, like you could easily just not even be hitting a calorie surplus. And this is just an example I found online. I don't know this guy, no hate to this guy, right? But this is, he proclaimed that this was a dirty bulk. And you could see like he has a pretty good physique at the start. But then like, dude, what the hell happened? Just all this extra body fat, right? Like if anything, he looks even smaller because of all the extra body fat. Like, it's not a good look, guys. Really don't dirty bulk. So that begs the question then, well, what should I eat? And I think 80% clean food, 20% dirty. So what do I mean by clean food, okay? Clean food is gonna be high calorie, whole foods, right? You guys want calorie dense foods. Things like steak, ribeye steak, chicken thighs, pasta, rice, avocados, peanut butter, whole milk. There's a whole bunch more. And then that other 20%, it's whatever you want, guys. As long as you don't go overboard with the dirty foods, right? And you're still keeping track of your calories, you're still hitting that calorie surplus target, you're not going way over or way under. I think 20% dirty foods is good because in my experience, right, you're still getting to eat the foods that you like. If anything, they can be helpful too, like for hitting your calorie goals. I think if you're going more than 20% dirty, like you're eating super dirty like 2 days out of the week, I don't think that's a good idea. It's just not very healthy. If you struggle with appetite, I strongly recommend liquid calories, guys. Liquid calories are so freaking good, okay? It's pretty difficult, like even the higher calorie foods, right? Like if you're having like steak and rice or steak and pasta, like it's still like, it's not easy to down 2,000 calories of that, right? But the thing with liquid calories is you can easily fit 2,000 calories literally into a single shake. Okay, training. Now, a lot of people really tend to overcomplicate this, and I think it's simpler than you think, right? I feel like a lot of people are always like wondering like, what's your split? Like, what split do you do? What's the best split? And honest to God, I don't think it matters that much. So I put a couple different splits on the screen, like full body, upper lower, push-pull legs. I really think all of them are good and all of them are gonna stimulate muscle, okay? Because that's what we want, guys. We want that muscle stimulus. From what I've seen, there's not a huge variation in the amount of muscle you gain and different splits, right? If you look on a pro bodybuilding stage, not all those guys are on the same split. Like it all just kind of depends on your own preferences pretty much. I run a full body split, so this would be like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. There's upper lower, which I think is really good too. So you're doing upper lower 4 days a week. The most important thing with the workout split is that you can stick to it consistently. So now that you have your split, there's two things with training that are really important, right? Volume and intensity, okay? So volume is pretty much the total number of sets that you're doing per a muscle per week, right? And I feel like the best range for this is gonna be somewhere between like 8 and 18. I've seen people do as low as like 4 and as high as like into the 20s. The best advice is to pick a number of sets that you can recover from, right? So you're not coming into your next session for that muscle and you're not sore, okay? I think that's the biggest thing. Let's say, for example, you're doing full body and you're doing Monday, Wednesday, Friday, right? You don't wanna do 15 sets of chest on Monday, right? Because then Wednesday, your chest is gonna be absolutely thrashed. I think a good starting point would be like 10 sets per muscle per week. I hear a lot about like the maximum recoverable volume being like 20 sets for some muscles. I think that's kind of excessive. You're still gonna get your stimulus from that 8 to 18 range. Even 18 is like a lot. Another thing that's super important is your intensity. So how hard you're taking your sets, right? I'm an advocate of hard training. I think high intensity is like one of the best things you can do. So I recommend 0 to 2 RIR. RIR meaning reps in reserve. So this is like you're doing your set and you stop when like you can only do 1 rep left, or you just take it all the way to failure. Like 0 RIR means you couldn't do another rep, like you're going all the way. I would rather train too hard than not hard enough. So I recommend going to failure or stopping like 1 rep before failure is probably gonna be the best. But a lot of people don't know their true like limits in the gym. And so I think it's good to just go all the way to failure sometimes. But most of your sets should be in this 0 to 2 RIR range. And I emphasize here, you must train hard, right? I feel like I see a lot of people, maybe you guys see this too at your gyms, and it's these people and they've been working out for like years, right? But they never really get past that like kind of newbie gain stage. Majority of the time, it's just because their effort level is like not that high. Like they do just like a couple sets and they stop literally 5 reps, 10 reps before failure, okay? So you must train hard. This is very important. If there's one thing that I can emphasize from this video, it is training hard, okay? And another thing is track your lifts. Now, you don't have to literally bring a pen and paper to the gym. I think that's pretty lame, but like you could just take your phone and go on your notes app and literally you just write down, I don't know if it's gonna focus, like I literally just write down how much weight I'm doing on my compound lifts. Progressive, oh fuck, I spelled that wrong. Progressive overload. Progressive overload is just adding weight over time, right? You're increasing your weight and your reps over time, okay? This is so important. This comes second to high intensity training. Progressive overload, right? Because if you think about this, if you're going to the gym, right? And you're benching 135 for 5 reps, okay? And that's your top set. If you never add weight to that, like you just keep doing 135, you're not gonna make any gains because like the muscle needs stimulus and you're not increasing the reps and weight over time. You're not going to be stimulating the muscle, right? So that's where progressive overload comes in. But usually if you're training to failure, or you're training very close to failure, progressive overload is just gonna come naturally with hard training. Another thing that I didn't talk about is your compound lifts. Like, I know my handwriting is horrible, guys, I'm sorry, but like your bench press, your squat, pull-ups, what are some other ones? Incline bench press. Overhead presses are super good, right? I do a lot of dumbbell overhead press. They hit your front and your side delt. They're doing a little bit of triceps, a little bit of upper chest. Super great exercise. Those compound lifts are what are going to stimulate the most hypertrophy, right? Because compound lifts, you're doing multiple muscles at a time, right? It's not like an isolation exercise, like a bicep curl, right? Like when you're doing weighted pull-ups, like you are moving your entire body pretty much. It's going to work like all of those muscles in your back, and it's going to work your whole biceps and everything. And like a squat, right? Like a squat is not just working your quads. A squat is working your quads, your hamstrings, your glutes, even your calves a little bit. So I recommend doing a lot of compound lifts and heavily focusing your routine around progressing on those compound lifts. So that's pretty much it, guys. That is my full bulking tutorial. If there's anything I missed, please let me know in the comments down below. I'm sure I didn't cover absolutely everything, but I hope that this guide can give you some good direction and maybe some motivation for starting a bulk. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. We got more bangers coming soon. Thank you for watching.